Hello and welcome back to BLCVikings.com and another installment of the Bethany Sports Beat. Obviously with the change in the weather outside, we're going to be talking a little bit of running right now. We're going to be bringing in the cross-country coach for Bethany, who has now transitioned into the indoor track and field season, Michael Dunn, in his first year with us here at Bethany Lutheran College. I guess that's kind of a good way to take the segue. How for you, because there are a number of runners who participate in cross-country, to what degree when you're outside and you're running, obviously the temperatures get cold, but you kind of get acclimated to that. What is that transition like to take these runners from outside and then try to transition and get off to a good, quote unquote, no pun intended, a good running start here with the indoor track and field season?
Well, I think a big part of that is definitely, having them adjust the workouts, the length of the workouts. What you do inside and outside is going to be a lot different. And so, what we do inside, we want to keep it short, simple, but at the same time, we want to give them good workouts. And doing that on a tight track over at Mankato, we need to make sure that we're not running them too much, or it's going to affect their knees and legs.
Okay. And again, you mentioned the fact that obviously we get lucky enough. We have a great relationship with the people over at Minnesota State Mankato. We certainly want to thank them because our athletes are over there and be able to use one of the best indoor facilities in the country. But again, obviously, as we've talked about here, indoor track and field, season relatively short, very compact. Does that present a challenge in and of itself? Because you're always looking, obviously, to peak at the end of the season when you have those conference and even potentially national meets and things like that, but you just don't have a ton of time to get ready for that.
Yeah, there's not a lot of breathers when it comes to indoor track. A lot of the time, we train to get ready for the outdoor season is kind of what that indoor season is for in general, but we have to be careful with each of our athletes and make sure that we're not overtraining them and overworking them on those tight 200-meter ovals because that can be a problem, And so we want to, take it not necessarily easy, but we don't want to rush into it too quickly as we have them competing week in and week out. So we will definitely change it up with how long we have each of our athletes run, how many events we have them in, because we want to keep them fresh each week.
Now, if you've been able to keep track with a couple of meets already under our belt here, as most of you are going to be watching this, the program's still kind of early in its inception, in its history, so virtually every weekend they're going out there. Certainly not only personal bests are being recorded, but a lot of new school records are being recorded right now. When we kind of break it down, again, right now numbers very similar as far as numbers of athletes on each of the team, roughly in the range of 17, 18, and things like that. As far as talking about the women's team, who are going to be some of those athletes that, even though we're early, you anticipate you're going to be able to count on every meet for some points, and certainly at the end of the season when we get to that UMAC meet, these are going to be the top point getters for us as far as trying to go after some of those top team finishes.
Well, as far as returnees, Danielle Marzinski, Kari Marzinski, and Anna Leeski, all three of them are actually going to be our first pentathletes this weekend at Mankato. And we expect a lot from those three because they're so diverse and they're able to be put in different events, whether it's jumps, it could be pole vaults, it could be hurdles, it could be sprints, mid-distance, you name it. Those kids are, you throw in a utility player in baseball, they're utility players in track. And so those three are going to have, I believe, a lot on their plate this season and have already done some great things and broken records. All three of them have. And then incoming freshmen on the women's side, we have Lydia Hildebrandt, who has ran 3 races thus far, individual races, and she's broken 3 school records in those 3 races out. So she's somebody to watch. On the distance side, we have Megan Sauer, Kirsten Elia, and Morgan Sauer is another freshman. Those 3 continue to do work week in and week out. And, like you said, there's so many athletes on this team that I'd like to mention, but I know each and every week there's going to be somebody else that's kind of highlighted a little bit, and I think in the end, those athletes that I've just mentioned are going to be our point getters week in and week out.
Same question, but only on the men's side. Who are going to be those top point getters for you?
On our men's side, we have a very young group as well. Returning, we have Owen as a junior, Owen Richardson. He's a guy that can play mid-distance to distance. And then we have quite a few newcomers this year. that I believe will be bringing a lot to the table. Grant Hockmuth is a hurdler that I think we should be watching this year. I think Stefan Prince is a freshman that's coming in this year as a 400, maybe 200, maybe 600, 800 guy who brings a lot to the table. He brings a lot of effort, and that's part of what's changing the dynamics of this men's team and women's team as well, is these new athletes that are coming out for track, whether it's men or women. They're bringing a lot of their own unique personalities and character to the team, which is helping, I think, our team grow as well. And so kind of to add on to those athletes, I would definitely say that Michael Bless is a freshman this year who has clearly at the last meet showed that he can run the 600 meter and the 400 meter as well. And so I think that season of cross country has helped him make those mid-distance events better. And then Kevin Harris has been a phenomenal sprinter for us to start this season. Noah Larson has been able to learn a lot from Kevin right away at the beginning of this year. And it just trickles down with the men and the women's teams as far as those returning sophomores and juniors and seniors being able to really bring in those freshmen this year.
And I know it might be a little bit early, but as far as looking at that UMAC conference meet, which again, depending on when people watch this, we're talking the end of February, so it's actually a little more than a month away, but obviously larger numbers, able to garner more points and things like that. So you're looking at schools, the traditional powers, the Scholasticas, a little bit maybe Northwestern, and even Superior into the conference this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to meeting some of that competition in the next few weeks, over this next month prior to the UMAC, to be able to see where they're standing, where we're standing. I know from this last meet that we just had at St. Mary's, we had a lot of success on both the men's and the women's side. It wasn't a scored meet, but one of our assistants actually took the scores from that meet and scored it herself, just to kind of see where we sat. And both our men and women did phenomenal. Our women actually got second at that meet out of 5, only losing to Winona State, Division II school. So we got to be happy about that. And so I think as far as where we're going to end up this year, I think there's a lot of potential for this team on both the men's and the women's side. And as always, we want to compete for that championship.
All right, we'll see where that potential leads us. So obviously keep coming back to blcvikings.com for updates on the indoor track and field season. Head coach Michael Dunn, we thank him for joining us, and thank you for watching us here on the Bethany Sports Beat.